Folks, if it wasn't official already, this Toronto Raptors team is now officially cooked. This squad is currently in a state of just absolute demoralization. Fans of this team just have no real hope for this squad. And we had that win against the Charlotte Hornets that, again, was against an extremely depleted, bottom of the barrel Charlotte Hornets team, and we barely scraped out that W. That's the reality of this Raptors squad, but there was one little lineup change, one little sprinkle of hope that brought all of us Raptors fans together and said, okay, maybe if we bench Pirtle a little bit more, give Gary Trent Jr. some minutes, we can win some games. And yes, we came in against the Denver Nuggets in this one, not favorites. The Nuggets just won the championship. They haven't been as great this season, but they're still, an upper echelon squad. But we wanted to put up a fight. We want to put up a challenge and prove that this new shaken up lineup could potentially give the Toronto Raptors a chance to really, win over some fans again. Get the hype back up. Say, hey, we have an electrifying young star in Scotty Barnes, which continues to be the case. Tonight, give credit where credit's due in this one. Scotty Barnes will get all the positives out of the way at the start. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, a block in this one. He's getting a bunch of blocks this season, but Scotty Barnes is electrifying. But a young star, and then with the right sort of pieces around him, in the right sort of positions, right? To Coach Darko puts these guys in the right spots. Maybe we can scrape together some wins. Maybe we could come out against the Denver Nuggets and shock everybody. But no, had a hot maybe first 6 minutes of this game, and then from that stance forward, things just looked hopeless, depleted. And sure, we made a little bit of a run at the end, and then Darko makes a questionable decision of subbing Gary Trent Jr. out, throwing back in Dennis Schroeder. But I mean, Schroeder's, and this is not to bag on Schroeder, but the lineup that the Raptors had out there was at least giving a little inkling of, passion and fire into this game. But again, the Raptors continue to come up short. They continue to just look lifeless isn't even the word at this point, because I just feel like our players aren't even that bad. They don't look as disengaged. I mean, last season, there was a face of demoralization. There was like a bit of dread we saw from our guys out there going onto the basketball court, but now it's almost like nothingness. The guys are trying. The vibes seem to be a little bit better. It doesn't seem like everyone's super depressed and sad out there on the bench. Maybe I'm just reading into this wrong, but it doesn't work. We're not winning these games. It's just, a flat stance. We all know what's going to happen. The players know what's going to happen. They know they'll be able to sort of get a few buckets, get a few points, take their sort of shots, and then things just aren't working out. And it just sucks to see, because this Toronto Raptors team, again, has some guys that are big names, big talents, guys that are valuable across the NBA. And I get why Masai Ujiri took a bet on this squad, took a bet on this team, made that Jakob Poeltl trade, did all those types of things, but he was wrong. He was wrong. Probably I would have done the same thing in his position. I would have been wrong too. I can eat crow. I can take all the, you can play back the tapes. I've been a supporter of this squad. Been a big fan of a lot of these players. I'm still a big fan of a lot of these guys individually, but right now, as is constructed, as I kind of broke down a lot in the video this morning with OG potentially being traded for RJ Barrett, the pieces don't ramp, and these issues will get worse by acquiring RJ Barrett, but the pieces just do not fit. They do not fit. We don't have the shooting. The floor spacing is horrible. That's why when Pirtle's brought to the bench, we have a little bit more of a, a spark to this team, because, again, Gary Trent Jr. can space the floor, and, we have an extra shooter, so Scotty and Pascal can get to the basket with a little bit more at will. OG Anunoby, even though his handle isn't super tight, can take those shots underneath the basket. That's why things have been working out a little bit better with Pirtle on the bench lately, but then again, we run into the same issues we had before we acquired Pirtle, where the rebounding is just atrocious, our defensive rim protection is just not there, so Pirtle's not a lob threat either. He's just more of a catch and sort of finish around the basket guy. And then Schroeder hasn't really been able to facilitate in such a way that has gotten Jakob Pirtle the basketball in the right spots, or really anyone on this team. So we're not able to capitalize on what Jakob Pirtle can actually provide to this team, which is a very effective finisher around the basket underneath, in terms of touches, in terms of these weird post hooks and, weird sort of layups underneath the basket. And then our defense is just lackluster. Again, it's not horrible. There's nothing crazy you can point to at any moments during this one, but it just, uninspired is a word to sort of throw out there, but just kind of accepting of what it is. The Raptors 2 seasons ago, they had the hype, they had the fire. This similar group, obviously Nurse and Fred replaced them with Darko and Schroeder, but this similar group had that fire, had that sort of edge, and we ended up making the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, despite the fact everyone thought that team would be a little bit worse. We thought we would probably not make the playoffs, another year of rebuilding following the Tampa's tank, but we exceeded expectations, probably could have beaten the Philadelphia 76ers in that playoff series if we had everyone healthy. So, I mean, that was a great moment. The fire was there, everything was awesome. Last season, it felt more of just demoralized. Like, people were frustrated, the vibes were off. The Raptors players just didn't seem happy to be on that team. Things weren't working out together. And that's why Nurse got canned. That's why Fred VanVleet was kicked out. Divides in the locker room, all that type of stuff. But that stuff just seems to be gone now at this point. And it just seems to be the acceptance of mediocrity. The acceptance of, okay, this is who we are. We can't really shoot. We just do our things. We might win a few games. We might lose a few games. It is what it is. It's that is what it is mentality watching this team, the players on the court. And, it's not really a basketball analysis here at this point. And again, we can have good players. They just don't fit together. We can have solid sort of coaching. I think Darko's not horrible. I mean, looking at all the stats, the deeper dives, more players are getting all of their shots assisted on. That's kind of what we brought Darko Rajakovic to be brought in for. But frankly, this team just needs more of a shakeup. Things have gotten stale, and that's sort of, I guess, what happens when you have the carryover of a sour season that we had last year. And I don't think analyzing the basketball side of a loss to the Denver Nuggets were, again, there's some positive moments. Scotty Barnes is remarkable. He's great off the bench. I know people are absolutely trashing on Precious Achiuwa right now, but Precious Achiuwa in this one had 13 points and, 6 of 10 from the field, knocked down a 3, 5 rebounds. Again, I'm always going to be kind of a Precious guy. I got some hope and faith in his potential at some point there, but this team is remarkably mid. And I don't think we are a horrible roster, and I'm happy we're not a horrible roster. I mean, you look at teams like the Pistons, you look at teams like the Wizards. I went on a Pistons deep dive on YouTube a couple days ago, and frankly, really discouraged the inner sort of kazoo player in me. I don't even know if I have the kazoo animation still up here, but it makes me refrain from wanting to completely blow it up and tank things and get rid of both Pascal, OG for pennies on the dollar and all that type of stuff, which some people want, again, so we have a better chance at a higher draft pick and things along those lines, but something has to happen. Changes are coming. The Raptors team as we know it is currently cooked. There's no real other way to put it. And cooked in this sense sort of means we've just been on the frying pan too long. We were heating up. We were ripe. We looked great. And then you got to flip that egg to sort of get things rolling. But then we got crusty last season, and now we're just kind of a demoralized egg. You can heat it up all you want. It's just going to stay the same way it is. Weird analogies getting thrown here at midnight Newfoundland time. But this Raptors team has me feeling really weird. I'd give a bit of analysis on this game. I mean, Jokic is really good at basketball. There's no other way to put it. He was cooking our squad. Jamal Murray, not the most efficient night, but he's always fun to watch. I mean, the Nuggets are a fun team to watch. They're a fun squad. They just won the championship, and the Raptors are not. Schroeder struggling. Hurdle's struggling. OG Anunoby. It's going to be tough to ever get a bad word out of my mouth in terms of OG. Some proper criticism, the things along those lines, but I think it's a mistake that he's going to be making over $40 million per year. I get all the defensive side of things. I get all this, but that contract is going to be a really tough sell, in my opinion, for $40 million per year, if it's that number. And I get the hate towards Pascal Siakam. I get hate is bad. Hate is the wrong word. I get the frustration towards our top guys, to everyone on this team. I get the frustration watching the squad. But Pascal Siakam has proven himself to be an all-NBA player. He's proven himself to be as someone that has earned that max contract. And OG, if he gets that contract, certainly has earned it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I'd rather give that money to a Pascal Siakam. I don't care he's 4 years older. I don't care about any of that. I'd rather that money, Pascal, be on our team under that type of contract than OG Anunoby. It is what it is. That's the way I'm putting it. That's my take. Cole recency bias has been kind of my consistent opinion over the past little while. Again, I've tried to stay neutral in terms, not neutral, but be refrained from giving extreme takes. This is my belief. This is because it can change as we see seasons go along. But the more I watch of OG Anunoby, the more I watch it like Pascal and stuff. Because again, Pascal isn't perfect or anything along those lines, but OG is clearly, in my eyes, a 3-and-D sort of complementary piece. It's a lead on defense, especially spaces the floor, but you're giving a guy $40 million. $40 million. There's an expectation of being a consistent, top 3 guy in your rotation. And nights like this just discourage me from, and that's not to say I wouldn't want OG Anunoby back on that contract if we were to deal away Pascal, but I'm pretty firm on my stance here right now. I'd rather Pascal Siakam on this Toronto Raptors roster in the future than OG Anunoby making that same amount of money. Call me crazy, call it a hot take, call it whatever you want, but the Raptors got me feeling weird. They got me down. I'm feeling cooked. Raps are feeling cooked. It is what it is. But folks, subscribe to the channel if you want to enjoy this. Maybe not enjoy right now, but be a part of this Raptors journey. You gotta embrace the lows. So the highs, those championships, those playoff runs that are inevitably coming with Scotty Barnes, en route. You gotta embrace those lows so those highs are that much sweeter. Anyways, folks, I'm signing out. Cheers.